So fuck sign is the we are so fuck sign is living up to its name, but the we are so fuck sign says we shall endure.
Reaching for the stars, you better crawl onto the land. There's only one way to clap with one hand. There's only one way to clap with one hand. Everybody gather round and smell the burning fishes. There's gonna be a murder. Everybody breathe the fifth. Supernatural selection, increasing all the paychecks. I'm gonna be the first. Trees, one root, three gods, four guns, one place left to run. There's only one way to run with one hand. There's only one way to clap with one hand. Six million heads stuck in the sand. Slow death on the installment plan. Echo chamber, got the death blues. When the rocks get thrown, even you will still glow. 6 million masks stuck to the face. We're on fire to the masquerade. If you're here, you must want more. Everybody else is heading for the door. Everybody gather round and smell the burning witches. There's gonna be a murder, you're gonna be a witness. Preternatural selection, increasing all the nations. Who'll be the first with a hamster wheel race? Look at what you want, not what you can't have. Before reaching for the stars, you better crawl onto the land. There's only one way to clap with one hand. There's only one way to clap with one hand. Everybody gather round and smell the burning fishes. There's gonna be a murder. Everybody breathe the fifth. Supernatural selection, increasing all the paychecks. I'm gonna be the first in the hamster wheel race. You and you, two trees, one root, three gods, four guns, one place left to run. There's only one way to run with one hand. There's only one way to clap with one hand.
All right. Well, welcome. Welcome, Party Scott. Party Scott. That was Artie Scott's music, and I did the edit of the graphics and the video for it, and so I guess we collaborated a little bit. Hi, Scott.
Yeah, our first collab. How's it going?
I know. I'm so excited. I'm really happy to have you here. And I think everybody else is too. It looks like people are joining us. And, well, Scott, all right. So I met you on Twit.
Twitter.
It's, yeah, Twitter. I got to say it out. Twitter. All right. I met you on Twitter. You are prolific.
But you on XXX. Oh, wait, no, Twitter.
TwitX or Twit.
Twit.
The Twit. But the thing is, you're prolific, and you are part of our climate doomer, adjacent, whatever you want to call the label bullshit. But you're part of our community on there. And you're pretty prolific. You're a great musician. And so I want to introduce you and say hi to everybody because our chat's filling up.
What's going on, everybody? Well, that wasn't all me on the music. Actually, on the music on that one, I don't think any of that was me. I sang and mixed and engineered everything. But that was the great Wayne on keys and the late Will Booz on guitar and bass and the live drums. Wayne played the electronic drums. And yeah, so it was, a lot of the End of the World Party music is collaborative stuff. So it's, that's what it's all about. If we're going to make it.
That's
it's
great.
Be collaboration.
It's wonderful. I really liked it. I've listened to your other stuff. I really did enjoy making the graphics to go with it. If I had given myself a little more time, I think I could have done a better job. But hey,
It was super cool. Super cool, yes.
It is what it is. So I'm sure that everybody out there, I'm going to just quickly say hi because we've got a lot of people with us. Bella and Kim, thank you for moderating. And I don't know where Obsolete Optics is. Where are you, Brett? He's not with us yet. Kamshwari Kate, Jean, Looney Tunes, hello, Wendy DeLise. There's a lot of amazing people with us today. Tommyist. So it's good to shout our amazing audience out, but they want to know about you. They want to know about you, and we're going to talk about a few articles actually tonight too. But I want you to tell us all about you, Scott.
I mean, where should I start, Sandy?
Okay.
Like what? What do you think?
The first thing I want to hear is a little bit about your music, because musicians are amazing. And then I would love to hear how you meandered over into the doomosphere.
All right. Well, I mean, music, I just, it's what I've always been drawn to. It's, art and music, it moves you in a different way. And it's always been a key part of my life. And I've been slacking in, recently, but now I've been getting more, more recently. I'm trying to start playing again and, start recording stuff again. But, I focused on a lot of activism and stuff for a while and in my free time. And, so, I was losing my chops, but, it's, music is key. Music is, it's something special. Even AI can't replicate it yet. It's the one thing AI, and once they can, we're going to have to make music that AI can't replicate. So
I can't understand how AI, I mean, I know that there's, back in what was it, in the 80s when electronica, synthesizers, all that, but it still wasn't AI. It was still human drawn, but just helped things along.
Yeah. But I mean, AI can do like a Drake song now. So it's like, there's some pop music is so programmatic that AI can replicate it. And I feel like I'm hoping, see, I'm an optimistic doomer. This is why sometimes me and doomers clash, but doomer adjacent, doomer. Yeah, whatever you want to, if you call it a pejorative, I'll take it. So if not, well, maybe, maybe not, but it's, I think hopefully AI helps like an artistic selection, like natural selection, but for art. Whereas people get so tired of stuff that AI can replicate that we start making new and weirder stuff. And so that's what I'm gonna hopefully do. Hopefully make some kind of music that AI can replicate. Because otherwise, it'll just do it. People just type in a couple things and boom, there you go. AI made your song. But it's a couple years. It's still not there yet. But anyway, so music is key. I mean, it's.
It's
Even Nietzsche, that
important.
better, he talked about music. He understood, like, music is key to human life and everything. Music moves you, and music's moving you. There's no argument about it. So I've always played music. I started out playing guitar, and I play a little bit of keys and jammed a lot. Got into kind of jam band stuff for a while, and then I've been slacking, and so I'm getting back into music. But so your second part, how I became a doomer. uh, so I guess I learned about climate early. So this is one weird difference sometimes when I get surprised that people come in so late to like kind of a understanding of climate. So I think I was a doomer early. I was way before the term probably existed, but I was like a little kid. I didn't know anything. We didn't have internet. Like, so I had a second grade science teacher that taught us about like the greenhouse effect. And I think I looking back on it, I have a different perspective now. I think I just grew up at like the right time to learn about climate, because in the early 90s, remember, it was right after was the Montreal Protocol, and we dealt with, or try to deal with the ozone layer issue. And so everyone thought that fossil fuels would be just as easy, and like at the time it wasn't so politically contentious. People, I remember hearing like the delegates thought that they'd come back and just deal with carbon emissions a few years later. But it turns out, shock of all shocks, fossil
Yeah,
fuels is a lot more difficult of a problem to deal
that
with
never
than
happened.
so yeah, than ozone depletion. And even that, it's, I don't know the state of the ozone right now, but we've improved. We at least could deal with that on some level. But this was like a fundamentally different problem. And I kind of saw that even as a little kid. Like, I remember I had a good second grade science teacher that taught us about the greenhouse effect, and I didn't understand at the time. I was like, how is, basically because it was invisible, because you don't see it. I feel like this is a lot of why Americans don't believe in it, because you can't see it. And I remember seeing like some documentary back in the day where they had one of those cameras where you could see carbon emissions, and they were like, okay, if you can see carbon emissions, people would take it a lot more seriously as a psychological thing. And I think that's true. But and that perplexed me as a second grader, as a 8-year-old or whatever. But at the same time, I was like, look, it's science. My science teacher said it. It's obviously true. She's cool. She cares about. So I'm like, I'm not, and on some level, like when you're that young, you think like, oh, the adults are gonna. Surely the adults are on this. They're gonna deal with
Oh,
this. This won't be a problem
yes.
by the time. And
Sure.
so,
The
yeah,
adults in
so
the
it's
room.
it's pretty wild. It's because, but then on the other hand, like you kind of see the problem, and I had kind of a consciousness of nature and stuff, and it's the 90s, so you'd have books as a kid, little books of like,
Yeah.
and you'd have animal books, and then what they'd be the cool animals are endangered species and stuff. And then so like at the end of every part, they'd be like, oh, this is what humans are doing to make these species extinct. So I had like a concept of how humans related to nature, and so as I kind of saw like, I thought on some level that, when I was my naive second grade hopeful ass, I thought, the adults will surely deal with this. They wouldn't doom the future of humanity and all this.
Oh, surely
But
we wouldn't do that.
at the same time, I saw what we were doing everywhere else, and I'm like, well, what's going to change exactly? And so like, yeah, it's been a real trip growing up and since. So I'm, I, I was like halfway. I had one foot in doomer world even back then in the early 90s when I was, just a little kid, didn't know much, but you know,
Aw.
here we are. So it's,
And here we
and
are.
I think, it was always a thing in the back of my mind. And then I was always kind of a political junkie, and, real into, art, and especially political art stuff. And, we had tons of that. I mean, art is key to politics and cultural change. And I think that's a lot of what's missing. And so, that's what a lot of what I try to do is kind of fill in that void, and, is however I can, and just help out however I can in that aspect. And because that's what I do, professionally. I'm in kind of the media entertainment realm. So I try to, do whatever I can to help out in that aspect, especially. But, and then I ended up, so I was a political junkie for a while. And then, Occupy Wall Street came along, and I got involved, started doing actual activism and stuff, and movements afterwards. And it was the Keystone XL protests in 2012, and then the People's Climate March 2014, Flood Wall Street, went there, and different climate stuff in DC.
So you
And
put in your
and
time.
some stuff locally. Oh yeah, I've put in a lot of time in the streets doing activism and stuff. And then Bernie Sanders was the climate candidate that our last solid chance to save the world in
Yeah.
2016, and did a lot of volunteering, just handing out flyers. The campaign didn't come out until 30 days before the election, and so we were out. We were out a year early. Actually, well, I was in like some Washington Post article in like 2015. It was just, I was in like torn jeans, and they were trying to make us look like ruffians in torn jeans walking around. But I was like, because we just had a grassroots meeting, and I thought we were gonna just have a meeting. We ended up going to do an outreach, and then so whereas Washington Post was like, "Oh, look at all these ruffians with torn jeans and stuff," and I was like, just picture me walking there with torn ass jeans through the middle of the street going to canvas. But we had great canvassing, but I didn't know we were going canvassing. I was like, I would have put on some pants that didn't have a huge hole in them. But anyways,
Yeah,
so
but
like
the things that seemed to be important really weren't, right?
yeah, I mean, you know how the media is, fucking
Yes.
journalists. I mean, I'm so, like, I love journalists on some level, and the media in an idealistic level, but at this point, it's also corrupted. But anyway, so it's and she was, the journalist wasn't even a bad article or anything, and it was just like unfortunate. I was like, but basically, so did a lot of stuff for Bernie. I actually ended up being a delegate for him in 2016.
Oh, you
And
were
that
in
was kind of the
Philly?
moment. Yeah. So I tried
So
to
was I.
to
I
start
didn't
the
see you.
revolution, and
Me too.
that didn't work.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah,
we
because I sat
tried.
down with I sat, and the thing is, that's how I know these people know. I've talked to a lot of these people now, and sometimes I'll look and I'll see them in the news, and I'll be like, I've talked to you, and you're still just like in this fucking political game. Like politicians are the weirdest. They're not. It's messed up. Like politicians are generally fucked up. I know some good ones, so like I'm hesitant to say that just politicians are all of them are fucked up because I can, have a handful of good friends who are some
Right.
solid politicians, but generally that's the thing with climate, that's the lever. That's what I've always seen. And so like climate has always been a thing that's in the background when I was doing all the activism and stuff, and seeing how what Occupy Wall Street come down to, and all the movements in between was all about money and politics generally. That's a lot of what everything came down to, even stuff that didn't seem to, even like the
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter protest. So much of it comes down to money and politics at every level, and like the hyper
Every level.
industrial militarization of the police state. And it's
Stop
so
Cop City. You live in an area where they're protesting against Cop City. and there's how
and
many
I've been
of
involved
them?
in some of that too. So
Talk about that a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit.
so I would assume you're everyone listening kind of knows, but yeah,
Yes,
in
I
Atlanta,
hope so.
a little bit south east of Atlanta, the Atlanta City Council. It's actually outside of Atlanta, but it's real close to Atlanta. But they voted to build this police training facility, and actually this is this is in the news now. So
Mhm.
they're building a police training facility, leveling a forest to build a police training facility because they have an old facility, but apparently they just let it go to shit and nobody fucking cares. Like, this is one thing that I don't understand with this. They're like, oh, the police need a place to train. And I'm like, okay, that sounds reasonable. What happened to the old place to train? Well, it's it went to shit. Why did it go to shit? Like, and why did they let it go to shit? I don't even want to tell you why I think, but it's like, come on now. It's like if I let my house go to shit, like, is the government just gonna come and buy you a new house? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, so
Well, but
basically,
it does make sense, Scott, because Cop City, they're going to militarize the police even more, and I believe it's for the bunker babies. All these people, they're going to militarize these police for the bunker babies, for the billionaire class, even the upper millionaires.
I mean, honestly, the thing I've learned being around politicians a lot and just looking at politics, just being a political junkie for forever, like, honestly, I don't think they think ahead that much. Like, none of them. Or I don't think any of them are that smart. Like, they don't care. They think about, it's just like corporations. Corporations care about the quarterly profits. Shareholders who, basically run the government, they care about quarterly profits. Politicians care about the next election cycle, and that's it. They don't see anything beyond that, and especially on the Democratic side. And like, I mean, maybe this is a good segue into Project 2025
away, baby.
article.
Segue away.
And so, I mean, the thing is, so it's, Republicans seem to have a plan, and they've thought long term, and long term, they had a cultural long term plan, and that's what people like Steve Bannon understand is.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I have a weird respect for him. So like people will. Oh, cheers.
Cheers. Right. Yeah, I got to drink liquid through the whole show. Oh.
Water in the kombucha bottle.
Yeah, it's actually vitamin water in the kombucha bottle, and I keep the bottle, wash it over and over and over, and just put my vitamin shit in it.
But,
all right, so I want to hear about this weird respect for fascist old Bannon.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, this is a lot of what. Yeah, this goes right to kind of Project 2020. Well, in theory, Project 2025, but I read some of it, and it's really not what I expected. But basically it comes down to having a long-term strategy. It's like, and this comes down to all of humanity, but it especially comes down to politicians. It comes down to shareholders and quarterly profits for corporations and everything. Like everyone's thinking about the very short term or instant gratification, like down at every level, and no one's really thinking about the long term. And that's kind of what the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
environmental, ecological, climate situation comes down to. Is like, are we gonna? Did I freeze?
That's okay. Keep going.
Okay. Did you hear me though?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, if the internet drops, it's because of the storm, and I'm in a failing state. So
Yes,
it's called
and
the United
everybody
States,
here, yes, but everybody
former
knows the
nation
former,
formerly known as America.
yeah, the imperialist crashing,
Yeah, but I
collapsing
mean,
mess of neoliberalist conservative
yeah,
poo poo. All right.
yeah. But the thing is, the reason I have a weird respect for Steve Bannon is he has like strategy. He thinks about strategy, and like the left so often just doesn't, and Democrats certainly don't. But the left does more generally, but like Democrats are just honestly just generally don't give a shit. They just want to get reelected, and they're like, "Oh, when I get reelected, I can do great things. If I don't get reelected, what can I do?" So they'll sacrifice everything to get reelected, and then it's in like, and they put it in their minds as some kind of noble goal, so they can eventually do something good. And oh, what if Republicans take control? But they don't ever fight for anything, and we're kind of on a historical treadmill, like going backwards. Like if we don't keep up, if we don't progress to deal with emerging and new situations and problems, then we're gonna have problems, and fascists are gonna always exploit that. And
So, what do you
that's
think about progressives trying to make some kind of move if Trump doesn't get elected and Biden gets elected and a rise up? Do you think it could happen? Because I talk with
no.
progressives all the
Oh,
time, and none of us like what's happening. We don't like the war, what's the slaughter, the genocide, Gaza. We don't like a lot of the neoliberal policies. We don't like the militarization. So, what do you see? Do you think there's actually a shot in hell before this ship sinks?
which ship? I mean,
The
I don't think
planet ship, the collapse
planet.
ship.
I don't know. I mean, like people say, the rock will still be here. So
Yeah.
the world won't end. There will still be a rock, and there will probably be plants and fungus or something will
Algae.
survive. But no,
Algae.
for us, yeah. For our intents and purposes of the world ending. Do I think there's a chance? So now you're like, okay. I don't know, but I think all I know is people who think they're certain either way are like dangerously foolish. Like, because
Nobody knows.
nobody's God. There is no God. Like, you don't know 100%. As much as we can look like we're on a trajectory 100% fucked, which we do, like,
We don't
there's a
have
lot
a
of things that could
crystal
happen.
ball.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. See, and there's things that could happen. I mean, a pandemic could come out and wipe out 95% of humanity right after we start taking global warming serious too late. But like, I don't know, for like, populations, your thing, that's always possible. Like, or a super volcano could erupt and give us, 10, 15 more years on climate, which it would probably interrupt, give its own issues. But, we'd all kinds of things could like, we don't 100% know. But like, yes, it looks like we're fucked, but you can never say 100%. You can say
That's
99.99%,
right.
but
That's right.
100%. And so, and the thing is, it's with this, it's if it's the planet, it's the whole biosphere, it's everything, humanity, maybe mammal life on the surface of this rock. It's if it's everything on the table. So that 0.01%, it's worth doing whatever you can do for that, because it's everything. There is no another bet. There's no like, oh, okay, we'll just go extinct, and then it's
Well,
no, this
nobody
is
I know
everything.
is wanting to sit back and just let it happen. But there's
Yeah, yeah,
definitely the things that we don't like. The whole bright green lies. I had Max Wilbert on last week, and then we talked about he's somebody that's very radical and wants to make radical changes, and but does not like the destruction of the environment for all of the different energy, because we are run on energy, and business as usual is everything energy. Where do you stand on
yeah.
that?
But I mean, I agree with him, but at the same time, like we're not going backwards. Like it sucks, but humanity is not just going to stop and go back to the caves or whatever. Like we're going to go back
No.
to a hunter-gatherer society. So like
No.
going back in history isn't an option. So like unfortunately, yeah, we're going to have to mine some, and we need to just do it smarter. Try to like thing is we're not even doing it smart. So there are ways we could focus on and regulate and make recycling more mandatory for things like the make of batteries and things, but like we don't because our government's shot to shit. So it, we're gonna have to. We need energy. It's not like so we're gonna need to replace the fossil energy we're using. But we also still need to degrow places where we have crazy waste. But there's just so many opportunities to conserve, and then we just don't really try. I mean, things like weatherization for like basically anybody's homes. I mean, like think of how much energy that would save, like in the U.S. or something. And it's cheap, but we don't really consider that much. We don't put tons of money into
No,
that
and
because
that's a
shareholders,
that's a
the investor class isn't going to
yeah.
make a bunch of bank off that. That's not, and so we need people to put pressure on the one big lever in the situation, which is government. That's why I focus so much on government and politics is because as fucked as it is, like that is the big lever. They take our tax money, they spend they send bombs overseas, whatever they want to do. What happens is largely up to them. The economic framework we operate in. So if you want to go to your mountaintop and have like a self-sustaining organic beet operation and never interact with the world, like that's great, but that's and like you can feel great about that, but that's never going to change anything. Like
No.
we are a collective now. We're a globalized world, and like if you're just going to drop out, like that's cool, but you're not going to change the larger course. You're going to forfeit all your chance that you have to have any impact on the course of what we do with this.
So what do you think the course of what we do with this should be? Is that too big and too broad?
Kind of. I mean, it's simpler going back in time. I mean, it was like in 2016, it was like elect Bernie Sanders, start building a civilization in America so that we stop fucking up the world and
Yeah.
get real about climate and use that as leverage. But it just keeps getting harder. But it's all right. So if you want the short answers, I would say
Yeah.
the short answer is two-part. Go vegan and start a revolution. Like that's it. Because I think
That's exciting to me,
I mean,
especially
if you
the
want to
start of
simplify it, I think
Yeah.
that's what I would say because I think those are the two things. Like there's a lot of times in the climate, sphere, there's the argument about personal versus collective responsibility, and it ends up it's just like too blunt. There's no like nuance. There's no real thought about like okay, what is really collective and what is really personal, and but like we have to. We've known for years. Actually, I don't know if you want to know why I'm really a doomer. It's because around
Yes,
10,
we
11
do.
years ago when the science started coming out saying there was no chance of us staying below 1.5 or 2C is if we kept, eating meat like we do and increasing it like we do and we have done. And I was just looked around. And so I was vegan before I knew about the climate impact and the environmental impact really. I just,
Hmm.
I made myself look at enough factory farm footage to go vegan. And so
Yeah.
and yeah, so I just did it for the animals. So I was already vegan by the time that this came out and so it was easy for me, but
Yeah, for the
at,
animals.
at that point, I
If
was
you
like,
want
look,
to.
people aren't going to do this. Like people and people need to. I still think
Yeah.
they should. It's like if you want a chance for the planet, like this is the thing you can do, right now. You don't have to wait until November to vote for somebody in to hope that they pass some legislation in the next year or two that it gets implemented in the next 4 years and blah blah blah. No, it's like literally tomorrow. Just start eating some tofu instead of some instead of beef or chicken or whatever pork. Then like boom, right there, like that's gonna immediately ripple through. And so that's the main reason why is just the time aspect. I think that would buy us enough time to really figure out a lot of the energy, but also, I mean, especially, I mean, things like fertilizer, especially fertilizer is probably the big one, and then concrete, and then like energy is easy. It's the low hanging fruit. So when people act like it's impossible, and I really, and it's also the aspect where I feel like doomers don't give enough credit. Like technology is going to improve. We know technology is going to improve, and we can recycle more. Technology is going to efficiency is going to improve because the market, wants that. That's one of the few things that actually, can, on its own help environmentally. But of course, in the capitalist sphere, it's endless growth is the goal. So it's, it ends up not,
Right.
but
It's like the weight, you do one good thing and it doesn't balance out at all. Seems to.
and I mean, but it's a choice. It's largely a political choice. So that's like politics is the big lever, but there's also the social. So that's why the second part is revolution. Like a revolution on kind of every level. Like we need to change the way we think and relate to each other and the world. And I don't know how the fuck we do that. LSD or the water supply. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas.
Listen, I have to hook you up with Max Wilbert. Definitely, I have to, because you two, I think, would hit it off. Bright Green Lies and his understanding of activism and revolution, and it is needed. But
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get there or have it if this, and unfortunately, I am not, this is my, I have to make this case. If the political swing goes to Trump, I do think we're going to lose the ability to organize the way we need to. Now, nobody's doing it right now under Biden because everybody seems to be sitting back, but there's a lot of grumbling. People are angry over Gaza. People are angry over wanting to drill more. People don't trust. However, what's the alternative? What is the alternative? At least we can still have a little bit of shred before cop cities are all over and we're beaten with batons.
But that's happening under Biden.
Yeah, of
Even.
course
Like that's the
it
thing
is.
is like
It's happening over
like
Obama, under everybody I've
yeah,
ever
I mean,
lived through.
Obama exactly. So this is why doing the bipartisan game doesn't work. I don't
No,
see
it
how this
doesn't.
is.
I agree with
So
you, but
that's
we are where we are right this minute. I'm
that's
also
why
a woman.
that's the thing is
I don't want to wear a bonnet. They're taking all our rights away.
I don't think they'll make you wear a bonnet. Yeah.
I exaggerate, you think?
You got a good 20 years to things got to get real weird before they.
I'll probably be dead.
But so I mean the thing is the big issue is like we need a trajectory. Like someone has to. There is no long-term plan. Like going back to what I was talking about earlier, like a long-term plan, a long-term vision. Like Republicans, Steve Bannon, et cetera, and Republicans in general, they had a long-term plan. They also had it easy because when you're just there's a money and power feedback cycle, and so the more money you get, the more power you get. And it's also just relying on bigotry and greed. Like they got it fucking easy. So
Yeah,
but the
bigotry
problem
and
is they
greed.
don't seem to.
They appeal to
Yeah,
that.
it's like the two most reliable sources of unlimited renewable human energy. That's for sure.
I like
So,
that. Oh my
so
god.
they have it easy.
Yeah.
So like we have it hard, but at the same time, like there's no one really charting a course out. There's no long-term strategy. Democrats just look at the next election. They're like, well, we just got to elect Joe Biden, and it's like
I know.
this is insane. Like looking at this, the more every day this goes on, it gets more insane. And I mean it. And at this point. I mean, half the country lost the right to abortion under Biden. And like, this doesn't just come down to the presidency because Republicans
No.
understood the long-term plan. And this is a lot of, if you want to start talking about the Agenda 2025, is that what it's called?
Project
Is that really what they call it? Oh,
2025.
Project 2025. Oh yeah. Agenda. I keep
can
calling it
pull up
agenda.
that- It's okay. It's an agenda.
the
They
agenda,
have an agenda. Do you want me to pull?
no.
I can pull up the Guardian article if you want, or we could just talk. I mean, we know
yeah, if you
what
want. Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I had it pulled up. I was kind of looking at
right.
it, but
All right. Well, let's see if we can play around here, and we'll get this. We'll get it up, and we'll look
yeah,
at
I mean,
it.
honestly, most of the impact of it seems to be like they just want to like replace these instead of
Yeah.
because I think a lot of the slowness with Trump's first term was appointees were getting held up by just issues, and so
Yes.
I think a lot they're trying to like build a process for that. So I think that's the main thing. But really, this Agenda 2025 shit which is I think we should start calling it. Because what was it? What was the Agenda 20? Was it? What's the agenda thing? Where there's the UN agenda where all the conspiracy theorists
Oh,
thought
that
it was
was
some kind of plan
agenda. It was about walkable cities and agenda 2035.
yeah. So I think we should
Something like
let's start calling it Agenda 2025 then. So,
Yeah.
but basically, this is like I started looking at it, and it's it looks kind of like AI wrote it. I mean, it's huge. If you look
It
at the
is
thing, it's
huge.
like 1,000 pages.
It is huge.
But
I
there's
know.
probably half of it is like biographies of the authors and shit. And of course, some of them were like in the EPA and different climate, or
But
yeah, one of the
but
guys in like a climate risk finance. I'm like,
you
okay,
had
this
to
is
read through
interesting.
it though. You had to read through it because some people read it and said, "Well, what's wrong with that?" Oh my God. That's why I picked this
Yeah,
article because it's basically where where we live right now. It's the climate policy. And is it going to matter? Yes, it is. Even if people think that we're beyond help, I think it's going to matter.
I mean, I think what matters really is having a strategy, organization, long term plan, some kind of movement to challenge this. Because at the end of the day, Agenda 25, it's just what Republicans have been doing forever. It's just what they've been saying forever, and it's when you read it, it's kind of embarrassingly lowbrow. Some of it, literally, I don't know if AI wrote it or what, but
I think that's
it's
really interesting that you said that if you don't know. Well,
yeah. I mean, so much of it is just kind of philosophical, ideological, just the same shit where conservatives have been saying ever since like Ayn Rand. I don't know. But even worse. I mean, this is nowhere near. I don't. Ayn Rand's horrible. Don't get me wrong, but like
we're not.
this makes her look like a freaking literary genius, like no question. So I don't know. After reading Agenda 2025, I'm less scared of it, but it's what Republicans have always been doing, and it's yeah. And honestly, sometimes I'm wondering like why did they even make this thing? I guess they just had to justify their paychecks, and Heritage Foundation has plenty of money, and
Well, they
I
do.
don't really know
Well,
because
they want
honestly,
to
I don't
get,
see
they
there's
want to
nothing
roll
here, but
back.
there's kind of there's yeah, it seems like they're trying to build like a process to formalize and streamline appointees, federal appointees. So
Yes, but
and
they
that's going to
also
be very bad.
they want to
Like don't
they
get
want to really make us a Christian nationalist nation. I know you've said we already are, but we're not all the way there. And they want to roll back all of these regulations that keep us breathing, keep us at
yeah
least
yeah yeah
somewhat. I mean, look, face it, we have a huge issue with pollution and PFAS and all the other shit. And I don't know if this is going to make it worse, but well, I do think it's going to make it worse. I think it's all bets are off the table if they get in. And it's not see for me, I think my fear is also as a female because I see what's happening. I don't want to go back to 1950. I don't want all my friends to go back to 1950. God.
But
I don't
people
know.
need to get organized. Then there needs to be
Okay,
strategy.
so
It's
how
like
are
the
we
thing
going to
is,
do it?
they have everything. I mean, how do we get organized?
Follow
On
the
some
Steve
level, we need
Bannon
to. What you're doing, I
thing?
mean, what you're doing on some level is helping. I mean, it's key to it. Just more media, spreading more ideas, more of like proper ideas, putting things, especially in an environmental and climate context, and in the 21st century going forward, especially, it's going to be key. Because if you don't have that, then you don't know what's going on in the world you're living in, and you have no context, especially migration, which is a big issue. And if you don't have a climate context for that, then you're going to end up with some fucked up, end results there. So, but I
Well,
mean, at the end of the day, like it's so I did think that I was just going to kind of sit out this election and not say anything. But really, what just what the 50,000 pound straw that broke the camel's back was the genocide in Gaza.
oh
And I
hell
mean, this
yeah.
is
Oh
if
hell
we
yeah.
reelect if we vote for Biden, we're telling him, and especially if we're supporting him at this point. I mean, remember the election is how many months out? The election's still like 7-8 months out.
Right.
So
I'm not
the
going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm going to tell you that if Trump gets in, he's going to give Israel the farm. These people are chomping at the bit.
they're
They
already
want to,
taking the farm. What
well,
do you
yeah,
mean?
but they want to
What are they
kill
going to do?
Muslims
What else
on
are
a
they going to do? Literally,
they
what are they going to?
they
This
want
is
to
what are
kill
they?
Muslims on a wide scale. Okay,
What are they
they
doing
hate
today?
them.
Right as
No,
we speak. How many people? How many
that
Palestinians
no,
do you think they killed
I
since we've
think
been
I'm
talking
talking,
here
but
with
I'm
our
not
tax
just.
dollars?
I'm not just talking about Gaza, and I'm not against you. I just see this bigger picture that,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
we have, and I hate the lesser of two evils shit. I hate it. We have
That's how we got here.
we have bad and
See,
bad.
that's how they get you. You always hate it, but you always vote for the lesser evil.
Well, I
That's
don't
how they
know.
get you.
I didn't before, I did not before. I mean, I've made my votes based on my conscience, how I felt, you
So the
know.
closer we get to the end, the more pliable you are for your lesser evil pick.
I don't know.
I just think this is kind of like it's kind of orthogonal to what we do as a species and civilization if we make it, and how we actually make progress and defeat fascism and come together as a species to survive in some way. But
What do you think about the Green Party? Do you think it's possible to even make traction, or is that more just making yourself feel good, voting for the Green Party?
no, I mean, I think the big message of like voting here. Wait, I voted today. I just voted today. Boom.
You did. You
Yo
got a little
voto.
voting sticker. All right.
Yo vote. Oi. But I voted for Marianne Williamson because we didn't really have a. Well, I was going to vote for her anyway. It's just I just feel like it's better than she supports a
Yeah.
ceasefire and she's pretty
Yeah.
badass, and we
I
didn't have a uncommitted choice. We could have just not filled it out and put it in, but I'd rather vote for somebody with than. And at the same time, I feel like for the uncommitted vote, you should count Marianne Williamson as basically 90% of her votes as uncommitted votes in all these.
I was
So
just doing it. I did a show with Harvey J.K. on Wednesday night on another channel, and he's her advisor.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
he's a big advisor of hers. If you don't know Harvey's writing, he just wrote what's called the Economic Bill of Rights, and it's labor and focused on labor. And I don't know how much he is involved in any of the degrowth movement, but I'm certainly going to send him some things to open his mind to it, to look at it. You think
Yeah.
Marianne would be?
Yeah, she would. Yeah, I feel like she's open-minded, and yeah,
And she wouldn't
I think it's kind of intuitive on some level for people. Like the planet's not infinite. You can't consume endlessly. It's one tiny little pixel in the in the vast
Yeah, it
blackness of
is.
space. Like if we use, and we've really only got the surface. The not too. I mean, we can mine some, but on some level, it doesn't do us any good. And we live in a very the Goldilocks zone, and we're trashing it. Crazy.
Yeah, right. The Goldilocks zone. Well, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to I'm going to go over to that other article because actually it was really good, and I guess we can do this. You guys don't mind. We talked about this before. I was wondering if I should do this. But this article here, guys, okay? This is really good. And I think that we should look at it. We should take a look at it. I don't know if I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this guy's name is Jonathan Cook. And he said, the U.S. president and the Democratic Party are betting voters are dumb enough to fall for this charade. Please don't prove them right. And basically, he goes down and he talks about this. He says, no one's mentioning it, but Biden is actually violating Israel's 17-year blockade of Gaza with this plan, the food plan. And he says, Israel barred anything getting into Gaza that didn't come through the land crossing it controls. And then he goes and talks about it'll take many weeks for the U.S. to build this pier offshore and get it running. Why the delay? And, so let's talk about this a little bit. What did you think last night when you, well, I don't know if you watched the State of the Union, but what did you think when you heard about this whole food drop and, because he's talking about aid into Gaza much faster than by building a pier. I have my own ideas why that's going to be built.
I mean, this is clown shit. This is why I can't really stand the Democratic Party anymore. It's obviously bullshit. Like the whole reason they can't get in is because he keeps supplying bombs for them to keep committing they're dropping so many bombs you can't drive a truck into Gaza. And it's who's going to stop you from getting into Gaza? What's the problem, Joe? It's you're funding the people who. It's just wild. This weird capture that we have, and I don't see. If I'm being real, I don't see how the way that is the Israeli hard right has captured American politics. How is that not treason? How is it not treasonous when you take money from AIPAC and then act on?
It's
I don't get it. The
awful.
fact that
It's
jump into it and
because of our situation, because we are ultra capitalist oligarchy, because we are beholden to PAC money because of Citizen United. People are just they ran away with it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, money in politics is like the big thing, and that's the thing you're against. Whether
Only
if
thing.
you're on the left or progressive or looking out for the environment or climate, it's or all of the above. It's money in politics, and money itself is kind of I mean, that's our problem is money has just bought up everything. It's buying up science, it's buying up journalism, it's bought up the media. You buys the politicians, and
Yeah.
politicians are kind of cheap when you look at it. But now
Yeah,
it's
they're
with the
kind of
internet.
cheap. Like yeah, look at
I mean, for
Marjorie
the
Taylor
return on
Greene.
it, the return on investment. Yeah. Oh, if you
Yeah.
got the money, you got to get yourself a politician, get yourself a senator, slip
That's
some
how
the right
fucked up we
committee to
are.
slip something in.
I
Yeah.
hear you. Let me read this really quick to you, and then I want to hear what you said, what you think. Biden isn't changing course temporarily because he suddenly cares about the people or even the children of Gaza. They have been suffering in an open air prison to various degrees for decades. If he cared, he would have done something to end that suffering after he became president, just like you said, Scott, stop. But he goes, go further. No, Biden doesn't care about Palestinian suffering or about the fact that while he has been busy eating ice cream, many tens of thousands of children have been murdered, maimed, or orphaned, and the rest starved. He cares about the polls. His timetable for helping Palestinians is strictly being dictated by the schedule of the presidential election. He and the Democratic Party are betting voters are dumb enough to fall for the charade. Please don't prove them right. But yet, I think we're fucked either way.
Yeah, but see, this is what I'm talking about. Like elections are the chance for people to use leverage, and if we forfeit our leverage right off the bat, just say, "Oh, don't worry, but lesser evil. We've already just got your vote." Then you literally you forfeit your leverage to change things through elections already because policy wise, Biden already knows he can count on your votes. He doesn't need to.
Yeah,
You can commit He can literally do anything. I mean, if he can commit a genocide of 50% children, like you can literally do fucking anything. I mean, remember it was 2016. Trump said he could shoot someone in it's middle of New York or whatever. Like
yeah, and guess what?
Biden could probably kill like 50,000 children in the middle of New York City, and they still, all these Democrats would show up for him, and
The
that's why like
liberals.
our leverage is to hold that back. That's like, and people have to make that judgment. And if you're automatically going to give in, this is the problem with, I think a two-party system is just a crazy idea. I don't know how obviously the founding fathers weren't that smart if they didn't foresee this and like realize how bad of an idea it is to just have two parties.
But there were more parties. There was the Whig Party. I mean, there were several parties. It was just dominated even back then. Even back then, it was dominated by the rich, wealthy white landowners, men.
Yeah, also the founding fathers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's who they were. It's not like they were broke ass founding fathers
Well, I guess
representing
I just go back to the female aspect, I guess.
So any founding mothers.
No, I mean, January 2025 could be even worse than it is now. Even worse.
So, well, yeah, I mean, of course, honestly, it's going to be worse no matter who wins the. So that's the thing we're at. Is like we have to choose. We have to chart a course out, and on some level, like the thing is, the genocide throws a wrench in the whole thing. Because if we're going to say that you can commit a genocide of 60% children, 70%, women and children, and then how many the elderly, and then it's insane. And then it's like how many just innocent, men my age who they say, oh, you could kill me and say I'm Hamas, and it's no one's ever going to blink twice. Like it's. On some level, like that changes the game. Like that has to be a line. If we're just going to accept genocide, like an open genocide like this, and being like, even saying just we're complicit or a party, like we're kind of just committing it. This is as much our genocide as Israel.
Have you?
So if we're going to do this, then I'm just what hope is there? We're gonna get real about climate and really care about this plight of the global South. In a
no.
Overheating world, like I don't think so. This is the same thing, and I mean it's also the same thing. I mean IDF. So like we were talking about Cop City here. IDF trains with Atlanta police, and they'll be doing that at Cop City, I'm sure. They have a Gilly program. Georgia police have a program. Georgia,
How
I
did
don't
it get
remember.
like this? Who militarized these fuckers?
Democrats
We
and
did?
Republicans.
We
I mean,
militarized.
everyone just let it happen. Everyone was comfortable if it happened. And it's, even when, Obama said he was reducing militarization of police, they still, increased funding.
Okay.
It was
Right.
like Democrats are just there,
Oh,
not
God. Gives me a headache.
Republicans make Democrats look good. And I think that's like one of the worst things about, I don't know, everything's bad about Republicans. I don't know. But the fact that they make Democrats
Except
look good
Steve
is like,
Bannon's.
that's fucking horrible. Like that's a whole, that's maybe that's the worst, is because since we're really locked into a two-party system, it's that they're occupying the only place where you could challenge the
I
fascism on the
agree
right.
with you.
And as long as they're occupying the only space you can politically challenge it, that it's what hope is there? If they are the high bar and they keep lowering it because we keep voting lesser evil, then how does this work out ever?
Yeah, well, it doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't. It's
Yeah, I mean,
and I
doesn't have
don't
to,
know.
right?
You know what, Scott? I don't know if it's fear. I'm older. I don't know if it's fear. It's more like just a disgusting, sick feeling that I have lived through the women's rights movement, and things are so different, and now I see them going backwards, and everything I worked for, and I was an activist. I was a pro-choice activist. I took my kid when she was in the carriage to DC for rallies for pro-choice, for NARAL, National Abortion Action Right League. And seeing this happening, it's killing me. And it's not, if it and this is the only kudos or positive I'd give to the Democrats. It would not be happening if they had the House and the Senate. I mean, none of this would have happened if we had a Supreme Court. But everything has changed. It's gotten worse. It's just gotten worse. And wasn't Biden supposed to be a one-term president?
Yeah, I mean, people talked about that.
Yeah, and also, did David Sirota stood up. He wrote a tweet about how come this is happening. Why did no Democrats, like, all right, Marianne, but why did no serious candidates that our country people would take seriously stand up and want to primary Biden? What the fuck? It's the DEC, the DNC. It's their power because of the PAC system. The PACs.
And it's the whole it's the whole influence of the party establishment. They've locked out all these older people have locked out younger generations for decades, and it's like there's a whole generational skip. And now that they're all so old that they're just dying in office.
Ugh,
And the Democratic side, it's yeah, I know. I mean, they're literally dropping, like, I mean, Dianne Feinstein, it's just, oh my God, it's so obscene. Like the way she told off little kids asking for like a habitable future on this planet. And she's like, I know what I've been doing this for 7,000 years.
it was
And then she goes and
cringeworthy.
dies 3 months later. And it's okay. Like,
I know.
I mean, that is what it is. So there's a whole, the Democrats don't have a bench, for one thing. That's one big, and because they just want to hold on to power till they die. I mean, look at Pelosi. What is she doing? She's
So
all
would
these
you
people.
say-
I mean, they're
would-
propping up by it. It's
Would you
and
say
it's-
you believe in term limits?
No, not at all. Because the system is corrupt, and there's always going to be more grifters out. I mean, look at YouTube. Look at the right wing on YouTube. Like there's so many grifters. There's an infinite amount of
Yeah.
grifters, and so if the system is going to condition you to do what money wants, then it's just going to have infinite replacements. It's going to be easy. I mean, we would lose people like Bernie Sanders. And whereas, like, okay, I don't think term limits is exactly why Nancy Pelosi is staying in office. Obviously, that's because San Francisco votes like a bunch of fucking jackasses and
Because they're
progressive and
they're
communist my
liberals.
ass.
No, they're
They're
liberals.
barely. I don't even know if I'd
They're-
call them liberal. That's
Well,
liberals give it a
no,
little generous.
I don't know. They're neoliberals.
San Francisco now. I mean, what are they doing with their homeless population? All I know is San Francisco is pretty. California gets, Republicans are being way too nice when they call them communist and left wing and progressive and all this. Like, no, they're
not.
they're just as fascist as you want them to be. Calm down, Fox News.
Oh, jeez.
It's
All
true.
right.
It's
Oh, this is good. This is good. What are you doing out there in the chat, guys? Let's see. Term limits lead. Steven says term limits lead to corruption through nepotism. So does the alternative. We got
Yeah,
a
well,
we
I
got a
mean, the
great shot.
solution is the solution to money in politics is, is different than term limits, though. I mean, it's the money aspect that corrupts the politics, and term limits just makes that easier because money that force will always be there to corrupt politicians as long as your system is a plutocracy, and if it's just going to make it harder for us. It's literally going to be easy for money to recruit new candidates. I mean, look at everybody. Everybody would sell. Almost everybody would sell their damn soul given the chance. And so, if we had term
Yeah.
limits, it just gives more people the chance. Well,
Yeah. Well, they are. I mean, you see that everybody sells their soul on public social media, and I didn't monetize for 7 years. I wasn't. I wouldn't. I did just a few months ago. I did because I can't afford to do it without the help.
yeah, that's part of the
But
thing. Yeah,
we're a gig economy. It's a gig economy. Like I donate to others, they donate to me. It's circular. We're gigging each other. We're supporting each other. But the big right wing channels, they have support. They have support by the Heritage Foundation, by the
mhm.
Koch brothers. Nobody's rushing to give progressives any money.
Exactly. That's the
Not
thing is
even
that's
Ted
why.
Turner.
Yeah. That was Ted Turner. Well, yeah. He did he did deliver a lot of food to us from his grill thing, or what is it? He's got some grill
Yeah.
thing here in Atlanta, but
Oh,
during the Occupy days. But yeah, at the same
that's
time,
cool.
I don't know. Yeah. There was a whole, it was the Occupy days. It's the left. There was a whole fight about whether we should accept it or not, and it's just like, well, at this point, it's either going to the dumpster or us. Let's just fucking eat it. But I mean, I didn't eat it. I think it's mostly meat.
Oh
I don't think they have
shit.
anything vegan there. But um,
Nothing vegan in the dump. Cardboard. Yeah. Shit. Cardboard.
but what were we talking about?
Okay. So we were talking about Project 2025. We moved over to Gaza, and then we were actually going to do a little climate politicking. And that was the other article that I had.
Oh,
Let me see the other one. Well, we all right. The third one was, well, we were going to go weather full
oh,
doomer here. I mean, this is happening. The U.S. had its warmest winter on record. So there's and Bill McGuire just came out with an article where he says he's frightened. You see him on Twitter, right?
yeah. It's good. It's
Yeah.
all I've got. I don't know him personally, but
No, I
I know
don't
he's a troll.
either, but see, here we are.
Yeah, I did see
And
that. Yeah.
so, okay, so February 2024 talked about $1 billion disasters. U.S. selected significant climate anomalies and events winter 2024. And so much shit has happened. So, where are you on the climate crisis?
I mean, we're in some shit. It's the end of the world party. I mean,
Yeah, there you
it's.
go.
I mean, we don't know how it's going to go down exactly, but it's like, so the way I look at it is I don't look too much at. I mean, I do look at obviously everything that you you know all the graphs that get shared on Twitter by climate scientists and stuff, and
Sure. We all do. We're
but it's
addicted.
we don't on some level we don't know exactly how that's going to affect everything, exactly how it's going to play out. So I mean, what I look at and what's really going to be the deciding thing of if we have a chance, what's going to be the deciding thing is our behavior, our politics and people's behavior. So on that end, no, it's not looking good, Sandy. It's not looking good at all.
Yeah, but I'm
But
interested. I'm interested
so
in you fleshing that out, the politics and the behavior. Flesh that out a little bit.
I mean, that's what decides our carbon emissions. So it decides how we're going forward. And it's such a big machine with 8 billion people and, how many consumer class people and all the complex, economy we've got going on. Like, would you shift that? It's going to take time on its own. And we're not even being serious yet. Like we have the way people talk about it. I have no idea when carbon emissions are going to peak, but you listen to optimists and it's, they act like things that are just unrealistic are going to happen, and I think it's people have very unrealistic expectations about how fast we're gonna. So I'm kind of with the doomers when it comes to climate specifically. But
But
yeah,
you're
I mean,
like
there's not.
me.
It's
You
like,
might feel like the bigger picture is pretty bad, but we're still here. So there's a fight.
and I still, it's better to fight the
Oh,
bastards, and that's kind of what that's
yeah.
what life is anyway. Like, look at we're in this vast universe where everything's dead. Against all the odds, we're some living, thinking creatures, and being able to analyze it, understand our behavior, look back on our history. Like, humanity's never been able to at a different, any other point. So you could say like, oh, why didn't we just, you know, people want to just abandon civilization, or why do we do industrialization or agriculture, whatever it is. But it's like humanity was never going to go backwards, and they never had the view that we have
Oh.
backwards, where we can look back and understand all these things in this context of the story of humankind. And it's like, this is the moment where, this is the crucible where humanity decides, are we going to make it or not? Maybe we already decided, maybe not, but we don't know for sure. And if you're going to say that we are, if you're going to say, basically, if you're going to say you're certain either way, you're basically
We
forfeiting all our chance for a future. So,
Well, I don't say we're certain. I don't.
yeah. I mean, you can say
Because
99.99%. That's
well,
fair,
I
but
just say I don't
100%
have a
is
crystal ball. And so,
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
what's the old saying? Oh, shit happens. But shit happens.
yeah.
Not that
But
it looks
I
like
think in that article that was some of that was about the Great Lakes.
yeah, where I live.
I,
I did a show on that. The Great Lakes did not freeze like normal. They very little bit. And but yet we got the couple of big Buffalo got the couple of big lake effect storms, but not the kind of snow where I live. We got maybe 7 inches this year. I live in a place it's below the snow belt, but normally, I haven't had my driveway, and I have a long ass driveway, and it hasn't been plowed. I don't have to. Not that I go anywhere, but I mean, things are changing pretty rapidly in that arena. I just go outside on my property, the property I caretake of the planet. I mean, you can have a title, but it doesn't mean it belongs to the earth. And I just happen to take good care of my little piece. But I'm always distressed over the dying trees and the invasive species and the warmth and the change. And I'm a gardener, so it's very difficult to tell anymore when to plant, what's going to thrive,
Mhm.
when it's going to be hot. I had a heat wave last April. Everything in my greenhouse, one day, because I wasn't home, one day I didn't have the right circulation on, I lost everything. Had to start all over again. But it's what's happening out here in that arena. The growers.
Yeah. That's why I think I've gotten a little bit more pessimistic about how this all unfolds. Is just understanding how ecosystems work and how interrelated they are. And it's like a Jenga is the game, right? You're just pulling out pieces,
Yeah.
and that's what we're doing as humanity. We're just pulling out pieces from the Jenga. Like, this will be fine, and we're
Uh,
sitting here at the top, like, just pulling out pieces. Oh, this will be fine. Everything should continue like normal. And it's like, eventually, it's not. Like, it might for a while. Who knows how much time we have left, but at some point there is, it's game over, and there's no restarting the game. There's no
no.
so
Even with all the geoengineering, which now they want to change it. They don't want to call it geoengineering anymore. Now it's,
what are they calling it?
oh, I forgot what they I just watched it today too. Paul Beckwith's Climate Emergency Forum, where they were talking to the carbon drawdown guy, Fedorsky, I think his name is. Well, they don't want to call it geoengineering because of the negative connotations. But if these people are seriously starting
I
to think about solar radiation management a la spraying, we're fucked. That's the
Yeah, I
worst.
mean, and even just how they think that they can change the name and it's going to work out fine. That's going to deal with all the perception issues in the public. Like, that just shows that they're not serious on that level already. Because conspiracy theorists they're gonna jump onto it. There's no way you're gonna be able to spray a bunch of whatever aluminum into the air, whatever, some sulfates or whatever it is, and the conspiracy theorists aren't going to run wild with that. Like, they already are, and you're not even doing it. So it's like very experimental, or like
Yeah.
non-existent or almost non-existent, and there's still those conspiracy theorists running wild with it. Yeah, that's
Tell
it's
me
not the way, and this is
what's
not gonna.
running
This is,
wild? What's running wild? What do you think is running wild?
I mean, I think it's the narrative void. I think this is the big issue. Is like there's a whole like America's gone crazy because people don't understand what's happening. They have no context to understand what's happening. And then there's the guilt and the blame aspect, and then the politics are saying like, no, everything's fine. Just make sure the economy keeps growing. Everything's fine, and there's no one really like that's why like programs like yours are like key. It's like people need to understand what's going on in the world, build us stories are key to humans. Like we need to build a story about what is happening, and like but have it pertain to reality, not just like what you want or your politics or whatever whatever's
Hmm.
best for you, but like based on reality. And since we don't have that at all, I think people are going insane and filling that void that's largely education and just being able to read and critically think for themselves. Like people are filling that void with just the most insane shit you'll ever. I mean, you're on Twitter. There's craziest fucking ideas. Like
Oh,
there's just so much
listen.
shit.
You know what got me on Twitter today was pissed me off. I was looking at people, really Democrats, screaming and putting down the squad or Rashida Tlaib because they had their little signs there, and that's all it was. Oh, my camera's driving me crazy tonight. Little signs, and they
Mm-hmm.
were making fun of them, and they were saying that that they didn't know what they were talking about, and just we're already split. It's already split. So we got to build the movement, like you said. We need
Yeah,
a
but I
fucking
don't.
revolution.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think first
They
what I've
want a
learned doing
revolution.
activism stuff, I think we really need like a substrate. Like we need to, and I think that's part of what you're doing, and what on some level like all the doomers on social media are doing is just kind of a building a deeper understanding of like the substrate of what the fuck is going on, in the world. And if we don't have that, you can't do anything. Like a lot of the activism I did, I remember in the early Occupy days, I always had climate change in the back of my mind. I was like, look, we need to deal with inequality because otherwise this inequality and
Yep.
plutocracy is going to go haywire and lead us to fascism. And so, and then fascism is going to lead to ecological
Here
collapse,
we are.
inescapably. And so it was pretty obvious then. But even then, in that movement, if I'd talk about that, people would be like, "Oh, you're a liberal racist. You don't care about like," because
A
people,
liberal
it's like it was like another world. Yeah, literally, they're like, "This is," and
shit.
yeah, like yeah, the left is its own shit show, but like they're generally right. But it's like yeah, and I mean they've gotten away from that because now it's all like, oh, work this into our anti-capitalist intersectionalist, and it's like, yeah, I don't know where this is the left's big opportunity, and now we've kind of lost that good space of where we could have used climate action to really make a better, more progressive, socialized communal society. And now we're kind of like, we just need to survive as a species.
Oh
Like
my
the point,
God,
like
that has
we get
gotten
more
this
and more to
far.
emergency level instead of, taking that moment and, really trying to seize that to, improve our society and be more egalitarian in ways. And now
Well, there's a
we're
lot
not
of,
even serious about that yet.
well,
So
do you have anybody on the progressive end that you follow that that you like their message? Maybe that has a show. Do you watch any of them?
um, I guess not really.
No.
uh, I mean, there's people I like that, but I don't know. Not that I like regularly listen to. I've been watching Daily Show again since Jon Stewart came back. The episodes he's on, because it's not like I agree with him 100% on things. He doesn't bring up climate and
Yeah, but he's
environment enough,
entertaining.
obviously.
He's good.
Yeah, and the way, yeah, he's funny, and he's also like nonpartisan. He doesn't he's his partisan allegiance doesn't really override his logic or his comedic sensibilities, and also just the way he does his interviews too was always he'd really try to like get to the core of his disagreement with people and like really dig into that. And it's like I feel like if we don't do that we're never going to figure out where we disagree and then be able to persuade people. And like a lot of the left is like allergic to that. Actually, Nathan Robinson just
Well,
but
left is
he just did
allergic
a
to
great
that.
article about that was basically about how the left needs to be more like
Uh,
Jehovah's Witnesses, or like
oh yeah,
kind of more.
my camera's
I
busted.
don't, so yeah, I would recommend that. He made a lot of good points, and I think that's yeah, the left is just kind of not open enough in a lot of ways. I mean, they almost drove me out. How many times? I can't even tell you. So, I mean, our
Well,
first week of Occupy I was almost gone, and then I was there till it was over here. And so,
right.
like,
I hear you.
but they almost, ran me out right away. But it's the left is just they just can't really handle disagreement, especially in like a constructive way. They're usually just like, get the fuck out of here. Like, and it's like, well, this is not going to build a mass movement. I'm sorry to break it to you.
I like the mass movement, though. I guess it's I tell everybody
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, they're still my
I'm an
people.
old
Like,
activist at heart. I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
doing
No,
it all my life.
yeah, and I love these people, and they put up like the hardest fight when it comes down to it against, when the rubber meets the road. It's the hardcore radicals who are, fighting the police, getting arrested, chaining themselves to
Yeah.
shit, setting shit on fire, and like that's all great and necessary. And it depends though. Like it's not always necessary. It's not always strategic. Like in the Occupy movement, I was like, this doesn't make sense. But for Stop Cop City, like people love it. And I'm like, it's a different context. I'm like, it's not about being for or against the tactic of like property destruction and generally it's where does it fit in the strategy? And then it's the same as with voting. Everything comes down to we have to have a larger strategy of how all these systems and incentives work with the politicians and the people and down to every single level. Like we're just kind of apes running on incentives in these huge systems.
Apes running on incentives. That's I like that one. Yeah.
And that's so we need to change the way you change the system is the politics. And so yeah, I mean, we save the world. It's start a revolution and go vegan because the
Start a
revolution we need to change the system. But
revolution.
and the reason I think going vegan is key is people are going to have to make that personal choice. If we're living in democracies, you're ultimately going to have to personally make that choice. And so it's
And
if
that's
we're
where
not going
we're
to do it
living.
collectively, if we're not going to do it personally, we're not going to do it collectively. So that's why I think that separates it out. But for the most part, I mean, there's personal consumption for sure, but like for the most part, it's collective. Other than that, it's politics. It's building movements and not just new isolated societies and new like people. Communes aren't going to solve this. We really need like I don't know, acid in the water supply again. I don't know.
I think that's hilarious. Shh, can't say it too loud. All right, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of what our wonderful out there chat has to say. You're exciting everybody in there. And first, I'm going to do the super chat first. That's Nadia. And thank her because she said, Happy International Working Women's Day. Down with theocratic fascism and neoconservative neoliberalism. All right, Nadia. Thank you. She is like my major supporter, big supporter.
Yes.
She's wonderful. All right, so I saved a couple of them, and I want to go and find. Oh, well, here's the easy one. Is your music available on Bandcamp?
Not right now, but maybe should do
Okay.
that.
In the future, Kate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there
I
was.
mean, honestly, so yeah, I've
Here's
been
one.
focusing on this book, which is what birthed the End of the World Party. Originally, it was just kind of a fictional idea, and then it became more of it feels like it came from dystopia into the real world. So dystopian future
Yeah,
to your
tell us a
present.
little about the
So,
book. So what are you going to do? Is it going to be self-published? How do you think that's going to work?
yeah, I'm just gonna self-publish it because
Okay.
it's
So
basically because I need to get out because so much of things in it just keep happening, and I'm like, it's yeah, I've been working on it for a long time, and it's I wasn't when I first started it, was not ready to finish it. It's just a fiction book, and yeah, but yeah, the End of the World Party is kind of in the background of it, but then the more our dystopia has progressed, the more I feel like there's actually like a need for it, and yeah, we'll talk about that again sometime once it's done, and we'll talk about it
okay.
with the
Yeah, that'll be exciting. That will be exciting. That means you're coming
plan
back.
B because I feel like, oh yeah,
I want to bring you in with my Wednesday night crowd. I think you'd be an amazing addition. Okay, I want to. Oh yes, she's right about this organization. Move to Amend has a great
hmm
presentation by a constitutional scholar, pointing out that most other democracies amend their constitution every 18 months. When did we do it? I mean, we don't do much. We have amendments, but not every 18 months. Things don't get looked at.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I
But
mean,
that's
on
a good
the
group.
state level, a lot of move to a men's school. Yeah, they've been focused on money and politics,
But
as long as
forever,
I
and
have or
why is
longer.
nothing happening? That's the whole thing.
Exactly. And I mean, because
Why?
it's boring. Because it's boring. Because you move to amend, you want to talk about a constitution. And for one, I think a constitutional amendment is. I mean, look at who's going to end up, at the convention. It's going to be the same circus act that's running things now, and so we're not really changing anything. That's why the right understood it long term. To change things, you need to have an influence on the culture, and I think the left inherently did, because artistic people were more progressive and compassionate and decent and thoughtful and everything. But the right has endless money, so it's they've
Yeah, the ugly
they made
ones.
gains on that, and they focused on it, even though they really still have no good musicians. So I
Ugly
mean,
ones. They don't have any good Oh, wait, they got Kid Rock. What are you talking about?
that's Kid Rock. Exactly. I mean, you're making my point.
All right,
Toby
wait.
Keith.
We have something here. I have to
every
do it.
decade they find a new one.
They find a new one, but we do the environmental coffee house flush of the day. And so because I mentioned Kid Rock, we're going to flush Kid Rock. Goodbye, Kid Rock. All right. He gets the flush of the day. He sucks. They have no good music. So you were indoctrinated into our environmental coffee house flush of the day. All right, let's see.
Nice.
Here's one.
Didn't he have like a house that fell into the ocean or something?
Maybe.
Weeks ago?
Yeah, maybe.
Something like
Karma's a bitch, ain't it? All right. I don't think the game will ever be over, even if it gets to Venus conditions. The game of life will always continue. It will always be a materialistic task of making the worlds we can. Well, that's pretty heavy. What about physics and science? Maybe the game of life will continue for phytoplankton.
I mean,
for
yeah,
algae.
algae. Tardigrades aren't going anywhere.
And algae.
Tardigrades are.
We got a follower who's
We got to pass our all the human knowledge to tardigrades. We'll be all right.
There you go.
But no, I mean, it's true. It's like life will continue. That's I mean,
some sort.
Sam might know about. Sam knows the end of the world party a little bit. I don't know how
Butler?
much.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam Butler.
Well,
Good
he
man.
said there'll still be life, not binary, Venus or Earth. Did I read this? Oh, no. But a gradient across time as Earth becomes more Venus-like, I guess. And life and things to do in the meantime until the sun explodes. Well, we know that's going to happen. I mean, that's just a given in science about the sun. Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us. Make America Green. Again, the Chris Hedges Report, Substack with John Villant, author of Fire Weather on the climate catastrophe and the uncontrollable firestorms, each more deadly than the next, incinerating the planet. That's a pretty fucking statement, huh? Scary. Did I leave the word scary out? Pretty scary statement.
Do you guys get wildfire smoke where you're at?
We did. Oh, yeah. I have. I was.
Is it like common? Like we've got it a few times. Well, we
it's
had
awful.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it smells like campfire. It's it's a little bit nice at first, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, it's just
Wasn't nice.
poisonous smog.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
was gardening in a goddamn.
Oh, you had the Canadian
mask.
stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was gardening
yeah.
in a mask. I had to.
We only got a
because shit
tiny
had
bit
to
of
get in
that.
the ground.
We even got a tiny bit of that in Atlanta.
Well, you're
Freaking
out.
Atlanta.
You're
It was
down
hazy
south.
from the Canadian wildfires.
That's
Everything's fine, yeah.
Oh, everything's just fine. That's right. Everything's fine. We're gonna sing and dance, and All right, singing way. Earth wants us to survive. She wants us to protect her from asteroids, as only humans have any chance to be able to do that. Adam Soul says. He's been a guest on the show.
That's an idea.
And here's Jean from Costa Rica. Jean says, your culture needs to reconnect. Get off social media. Get to the woods and build community with the people around them. That's one way.
I'm going to go get my MAGA neighbor to come in the woods and take acid with me.
I live in MAGAville. Trust me. I could tell you a story about what I did today. On Facebook and fucked with them and triggered them, but I had to stay anonymous because I don't want them to come and try to shoot them.
You're anonymously triggering your neighbors, obviously.
Yes, I did.
Talk to Sandy first. She's
Yeah, they'll
No,
know.
I get it. No,
They'll
that's part
know.
of the thing is this. Yeah, I mean, we need to expand that, but sometimes the way people talk about their neighbors, I'm like, who are your neighbors? Because your neighborhood sounds nice. My neighbors would not take kindly to all this
My neighbors
eco-socialism.
are nice, but we don't talk about that. I don't go out much. I mean, I only stick with a few
Well,
people.
well, exactly. If you want to make it easy, yeah. So
Yeah, but I also there's a lot of guns here, a lot of hunters and stuff. And I
hey, I'm in
joined
Georgia.
a
It's
while back the Socialist Rifle Association,
yeah,
but
nice.
there's none here in New York. So I'd like to bring them here to New York. Why not?
You upstate.
Yep, there's no, but they're not in New York at all. All right, let's
Wow.
see. Obsolete Optics, Brett. He's been on our show. Brett runs our Discord. Good people desire neither to rule nor to be ruled. There are no good politicians.
I don't know. I've got some good
I like
politics.
Mallory
I will take.
McMorrow.
I have good. I like, especially my state house rep. My state house rep is actually Palestinian, and she came out to the Cop City site, and she
What's her
actually she was
name?
the first person to rule a Roman. So she
Oh,
was the first person to speak to against Cop City when the city council, Atlanta City Council, had one of their public comments, one of their last public comments where they
cool,
voted. She
cool,
was the first
cool.
person to speak. So she's super cool, and I met her during the Bernie days. Super cool,
During the
and
Bernie
even
days.
my 2016 days, the 2016 ones,
See,
and
Gene says you don't have to talk politics with your neighbors. I don't. We share tools, seeds, labor, and foodstuffs. That's how I am for the most.
well,
I
yeah,
did it
well, that
anonymously on Facebook because I was pissed off about something and I triggered people. I got enough material, though, that I can make a video out of it and just, I won't dox anybody. I'll hide their names. But I got pissed off because there's a fuck Biden sign right on somebody's house on Main Street where school buses go by, right by the churches. And I think, how hypocritical is that? You know? And what would they do if somebody had a fuck Trump sign? Would they go over and knock their mailbox? They've knocked my mailbox down before for shit I put up.
fuck Trump sign up.
No, it wasn't a
Yeah, no,
Biden
I got.
sign. It was because I had a friend that was running for Congress, so I put his
Mm,
sign up. Max, I love Max, and he didn't have a shot in hell in this place, but he has a glacier named after him, the Della Pia Glacier in Antarctica. And so I had the
mm.
sign out and they knocked it over. So what are they going to do if I put anything up? Do we have to be scared? I'm not scared. I'm fucking sorry. I mean, I am a protected woman, okay? Why do you think I want to bring the Socialist Gun Club to New York? My area. But the thing is, you fight fire
They're
with
around you.
fire. I'm sorry. I learned. My ex-husband was a hunter. He taught me how to do everything. And I know that sounds gross to you because you're vegan. And I learned a whole lot about other things, but I never killed anything. I would not,
Yeah.
not me.
No, I've gone shooting. I've gone hunting, but I never successfully hunted it when I was a kid because my grandpa was like a hunter. I grew up in Ohio. It's
Yeah.
basically the South. And even though we're like 20 miles from Canada or whatever, but I mean, went pheasant hunting. We never found anything, but I love shooting. I love shooting guns. Like,
Me
yeah,
too.
guns are
I do
cool.
it in my backyard.
Like, yes,
And,
I've
I,
had,
and I'm
yeah,
not a Second Amendment gun nut.
shooting, skeet shooting, trap shootings. It's,
Yeah.
it's, I would always go when I was a kid and, yeah, it was, I like guns, but yeah, and I'm
A
not, yeah,
lot of
and I have friends
people
who hunt, but
would
it's,
not
yeah,
like that about me, but I don't really give a shit because, I live out here in the boonies by myself. I'm
yeah.
protecting myself and I know how to do it. All right. Oh, let's see. Trev doesn't even talk to his neighbors. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, keep it simple. That's like, just because they live next to you doesn't mean.
Obsolete objects, things to do in Ohio. Leave.
Yo, I'm telling you, ever since I left Ohio, everywhere I go, there's people from Ohio. Like I met up with best friends from Ohio. I'm like, we
Really?
all got out, moved across the country.
Shit. That's
Ohio
funny.
license plates all over. No joke. It's.
That's pretty funny. But we have a wonderful, wonderful person.
But the other thing is, if
here.
anyone's from Ohio, Nelson's Ledges. Boom, that's the place to go to festivals.
Singing Way is from Ohio. She just said, "Oh, Kearse Hedges, how can he live with all that knowledge of tragedies in his head?" I do listen, but
Ah.
always have to do a wild, cathartic dance afterwards. She's
Is he
been a
still
guest on our
Catholic? Is
show.
he still a believer?
I have no clue. Maybe somebody will answer.
He used to be real, but he's always had a pretty solid
Hell
analysis. I
no.
remember him from the Occupy. Marched with him at the Flood Wall Street. Remember seeing him speaking there.
Everybody's talking about the weapons now. She likes bow and arrows. I probably couldn't pull one back because of my neck. I have no
Yeah,
issue. No, because we're not a bunch of pussies on this channel. Okay. Let's see. What else? What else? I had a couple of them. Oh yeah, this goes back to what we were talking about. The level of evil being done by the Israeli government and military is beyond scary, insane. It is, and that we're watching this happen with feeling powerless. But you just, Scott, you just said, hey, there's a way to take power.
Yeah, I mean that's the only power we have is that especially that they'll listen. I mean, show up at whatever you can
You
do is
voted
good.
for
Even just
Marianne.
speaking up. I voted for Marianne today, and I mean,
I feel good about it.
I say what I say, and on social media and everywhere, and on my my personal Facebook and stuff. There's a lot of local politicians and Democrats who haven't unfriended me yet, and it's but I know that people
unfriend me.
people are weird. They won't say anything about your post. They won't argue with you or anything. But then you'll see them in person, and they'll say something about it. I'll be like, oh, I literally thought nobody saw that. But now, we're in person, now you're talking about it. Either you support it or you got a problem with it. I'm like, okay, well, this.
That's funny.
But
That's funny. Oh,
and it's in protests too. I mean, we've been I've been going to the Gaza protests, of course. Whenever
there was one down
bringing
here
my drum
last Saturday in our little rinky-dink right-wing area. There was one last Saturday.
Very
I didn't
cool.
know. I didn't go.
This is the pressure we have as Americans to end this, because this is really our genocide, and so
we still can.
Whatever we can do is, but if we're going to say we're going to vote for Biden no matter what, he has no incentive to stop the genocide. We forfeit all our pressure that we have.
Gonna vote
I know,
for
but
Biden.
That's what I'm saying, because I just sense some Trump fear in your voice, and
it is. I told you why I have it. The female part.
I know. No, I get it 100%.
I
But
have a kid
that's already over. That's already over. It's kind of over. That fight's over. We need to figure out how to regain that ground. I'm sorry, but that's the truth of it. It's we need to figure out a strategy to regain that ground, because the right had a long-term strategy. And this kind of goes back to Project 2025. I'm wondering, why don't Democrats have a Project 2025? Why?
Yeah, why don't we?
No, I literally have wondered this for so long. These same people have been in office for longer than I've been alive. And they come into every new congressional session acting like they're reinventing the fucking wheel. Why don't you come in here with your legislation written and slap it on the table day one when you have a majority or a supermajority or a filibuster-proof majority, whatever it is? It's because they're either corrupt or they don't give a shit, or they're opposed to it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Hey, Gary Hoover. Gene, I'd love to hear more about how that is. It would make a great environmental coffeehouse conversation. We in the USA don't hear much about how it looks from there. From, looking in Costa Rica, because I had put her comment up earlier. All right, Gary. Well, we'll have to think about that. Oh, everybody's just chit-chatting out there, man. You have excited the whole goddamn show. Look at this. I love it. I love it. We gotta have you. I gotta have you back and pair you with my other teammates, Justin. Bring Justin back, and
That'd be cool. Yeah.
And Brett. And then I'll just stay in the back and just.
I've known Justin. Me and Justin have been friends on Facebook for a while. But we've never met in person.
Well,
but
then there's got to
so
be
we're I mean, we're fellow doomers or doomer adjacent. He's more of a doomer than me, I guess. But we're we're
I'll
fam,
produce it.
So that'd be cool.
I don't have to be in it. I just do the background.
You should
No. I really do like to produce.
I know, but you also got the microphone already. You might as well just join in.
Sometimes I don't want to. I'd rather have.
Okay.
Let's say I set up a show with you guys. You're the same age. You're all. People don't always want to hear me. I don't think they do. New voices are exciting. New people are exciting. Young people are exciting.
People keep coming back for you too, Sandy. So
okay.
it's not all.
All right. Well, I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
But I love to promote others. And I love making videos like I did for you for your song. I do love
Nice, yeah,
doing
yeah.
that. I just like to make everything special for people, but I'm not anything special myself. I'm just a person. But okay, yes, we want to hear Sandy. Thank you. All right, I feel good tonight. Now you're welcome. Thank you. All
Told
right, I
you.
feel better. Well, I have been actually feeling like shit for a couple of BS. Oh, now everybody's mad at me. All right, all right, all right. Time to break out the edibles. Yeah, because our shows
Hey,
we've been an hour and a half, but the chat everybody's loving it. We've got a busy show. All right, so yeah, see,
I mean,
Gary's right. We need to hear from young people. What are they thinking? That's why I love bringing on younger
I'm not
people.
that young though. I feel old. Like
Oh
I,
God,
I,
wake up with my back.
hey, I don't.
Oh
Yeah, I mean,
shit. No, I'm just kidding. All right, she has another question, and I'm going to ask it. Have you read Ecotopia by Kallenbach, Peter Joseph, Revolution Now, and Ministry for the Future, which I am actually almost finished with, which is fucking great. Winds of Change by Riviera Sun, I Want a Better Catastrophe, all show some cool paths for us. And that is, Ministry of the Future is what Max Wilbert really was raving about, so I got the audiobook. I'll send you links. They're so
no,
good.
I have the book.
Oh, you
I just haven't
do?
read it yet because
Gotta read it.
I've been finishing my own dystopian climate fiction,
That's
and so I don't want to like
right. That's right.
poison it. And so like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get, but it's on my, it's literally like the first thing on my stack of books to read as soon as I just finish this
All
goddamn
right,
book.
that's good. You don't want to
And
cloud
so,
your
and
judgment.
I read 2140 that actually like influenced it a little bit. I added some, you know, and so that's, I didn't want that to happen again. I'm like, look, I need to finish this because if I read this, I'm going to have all kinds of new ideas to bring to this book and I'm never going to fucking finish it. So
Yeah.
like,
Have
let
you
me
read
finish it. And then,
Ishmael?
but,
Okay.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I read Ishmael.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, that's that. No, we'll talk about that if you come on with Brett. I might have the three of you come on together. Brett, Justin, and Scott. Oh my God. I would like blow the
That
fucking
would be,
doors off of this show. And I won't be in it. I'll be in the back for that one. We'll have it, we'll call it boys' night. We've had a lot of girls' nights. I don't know, chat. Would you like that? Oh my God. Oh shit.
sausage end of the world
Oh,
party.
shut up, Trev. He says, I'll make so much on YouTube, I'll be able to hire a gardener. Honey, I won't, and I don't want to make so much. I only want to pay for the channel.
Gardening is
Really.
good for your health. Keep doing
And I
it,
can't
Sandy.
make a lot of money because I'm disabled. I don't want to screw
Oh
myself.
yeah.
I already lost. Oh, that's a
That's
whole
fucked
other
up how they
system.
do that shit.
I lost the scam that is long-term disability through your job. It's a scam
Mm.
and a half. And I lost it because I was on, making videos. I'm like, I had a fight.
Really?
It was legal. Oh yeah, I have a whole story about the corruption in our insurance industries and in having your pay and your benefits go through your job. And listen, I was an HR director. I know the whole deal. But I'm not going to talk about it now. But I got screwed royally. But I'm not a victim. Never say I'm a victim. I'm never going to say I'm a victim, except I am a victim of this fucking camera that is all out of focus tonight. I don't know why.
Working for the capitalists.
Yeah. It's a capitalist fucking camera. All right, let's see. Looney says
We're gonna
that'll
keep
be
Sandy
fun.
out of focus so she doesn't start the revolution.
Yeah, didn't want people to think I was trying to like soften the lines. They all know it. They know me. They know I'm a goofball. Looney says that'll be fun to have boys' night. All right, so yeah, everybody seems to like that idea. Yeah, I don't know. You can't make so much. That's all. You have to be careful. Listen, I'm not going to do anything that's going to put me on the radar any more than I've already been screwed by the system and boop, boop, boop. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Okay. What
Yeah, look,
else?
Kid Rock's house on one of several is Kid Rock's house, one of several at risk as ocean eats away Florida coast.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Jupiter, Florida. I'm telling you, that's what I was saying. Yeah, it was
Whose
Kid
comment?
Rock. His houses are falling into the ocean. So
Whose comment is it?
oh, I didn't see that as a comment.
Oh, you said it. You
I'm
looked.
just flashing back to things we were saying earlier
Oh,
because I googled
shit.
that earlier and I just went and looked at it. But yeah,
Okay. All right. That's
I wasn't
cool.
imagining it.
So how y'all doing out there? We've been an hour and a half, and
Yeah, read some more
nobody's
comments.
left.
Where do you see the comments? Oh,
I
mine.
have to put them up because I have not. I could pop out. And
Okay,
make
I
it.
can see them though, can I? Okay, I didn't.
Oh, can you? Okay, Gary says,
I just clicked the comment. I didn't.
Jean, yes, I was only white man living on the block and was immersed in Hawaiian culture in a variety of ways. Honolulu, away from tourism, amazing Pacific Islander. So they're talking to each other. But Gary's very interesting. Gary sends out a newsletter. He's spiritual. I adore him. He's
Good
just
rock ball.
he's a beautiful person. All right, let's see. Melanie. UBI is just another gaslighting tactic to take away all social safety nets, which was what Yang wanted to do, raise the price of everything, and that UBI doesn't mean shit. Well, what do you think about that? Universal basic income.
Yeah, I mean, it's
A lot of people like it.
like all I think we need it on some level, but I mean, just because of it's kind of AI and degrowth in general, but it's, it depends on how you do it. Yeah, a lot of how Yang seemed to be proposing it, and how conservatives want to push it. It's not, they want to get rid of the basically inflation would make
Take
up
away
for the
everything.
UBI. So so if as long as it's adjusted for inflation in a serious way, then that makes sense. But what in our political system makes sense?
UBI, right? UBI should be tied to the
much
cost of living
chance-
index. No, I agree
Like
with
the
you.
social-
I don't
yeah,
think
I mean,
anything does.
social minimum wage, that should have been a done deal decades ago. We should
Yeah.
have. We're still dealing with all these problems from like
Yeah.
when
Because
I was born.
they don't want to
We
do
haven't
anything.
touched them because everything was working fine. There was a rising tide. It was lifting all the boats. Everyone was fine. Everyone was happy in the 90s. Everything's great. No one gave a shit about anything. And then,
The New Deal.
2000 shit got a little bit more real, and all of a sudden, but then we elected Obama and everything's gonna be fine again. And then it was, oh, Trump got elected and it's the end of the world. And then it's like, oh, but Biden came, we stopped the end of the world. And now it's like,
we
oh
didn't
my
stop
God, now we're scared again. But
But I'm not scared. I
I mean, not to us, but I'm just saying this is
I'm-
like kind of the
don't
mainstream
want to
thinking
lose
of it.
my
Like,
rights as a woman.
but
Oh.
you have lost them under. You're in New York, so you haven't, because it's at the state level because your state hasn't passed it. But federally you have the SCOTUS rulings. It's the reason that half the country has lost ground on abortion rights. And this is, I guess, while we're on this, I just want to call out all the.
just
I just want to.
abortion rights. That's not everything. There's
Okay,
a
well
lot
then,
more.
what are all the rights you're talking about as a woman then?
Okay, workplace rights. Right now, affirmative action is under assault. I was in affirmative action. I did it. I did the plan every year. I was an HR director in higher ed research, and affirmative action works. They are rolling back all of the protections for discrimination. LGBTQ people, they're going to be, and they are now in those states, but it's going to be, you'll be fucked if you're LGBTQ, okay? And I don't like what I see. Rolling back affirmative action to me is a mistake. And I think it's Florida just fired everybody in their universities for equity and diversity. They don't care. They are white nationalists. They don't give a shit about anybody but their own agenda themselves. That's what I don't like. I like when people are treated fairly. I know. I knew that I had to watch these people because given the opportunity, they would not do what was right. And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, but you just said that it happened under Biden.
It
The
happened
Florida stuff, all the state level
because
stuff, and it happened because
DeSantis. That's why it happened,
and
because of the governors.
and because the Supreme Court, changed because
Mm-hmm.
of Trump's election. But this is part of the problem with Democrats. Everything Democrats do in their whole strategy is it always depends on us electing them forever, which is just unrealistic. If we're in a two-party system and Democrats are running on elect us forever and we will fix your system, like we've seen that, voting for lesser evil doesn't move this. It doesn't skew the system towards lesser evil.
Yeah, but we didn't get those rights under Republicans. These are hard fought for rights. I wouldn't even doubt these fuckers would take the right for women to vote away. They're making it legal for children 14 and 15 to work in a couple of red states. These people, I mean.
Yeah, I know, and it's and they always have, and that's tied in with animal agriculture a lot too. Like and that whole the exploitable class. I was just driving around last week around a city not far from here where it's and we're in Georgia here because they just had the there was the Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
the,
Lincoln, Lakin is
like,
her name, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Biden said
I'm s-
Lincoln.
like
Yeah.
it's Biden here, but that
Oh,
motherfucker.
I was
But
looking at the chat.
but yeah, so that was that was right here, and I was not far from that shortly before in uh a city where it's basically all immigrants and basically all meat factories. Everywhere you look is like JBS and shit. I was driving around at night and just see this JBS on everything and some other meat trafficking company, and
Mm.
it's always been key to it. It's still we're in the jungle still. Upton Sinclair's jungle from 100 years ago. We're still trapped in the same freaking jungle, and it's
I hear
you
you.
know we're obviously not going to fix it by voting a lesser evil because we've done that. We've tried that. It we need a larger strategy, especially because history is working against us.
Yeah, well,
History is
that's what
working for the
that's
fascists. History is making it easier for them. Like we said, like they have everything on their side. They have the money. They have the more scarcity that ecological collapse and climate brings. Is the more that's going to aid bigotry and different anti-immigration the aspects of fascism, and that's
yeah, I hear you.
we need to recognize it and build something against it. And I don't on the left, a lot of it people criticize the Democratic Party, which obviously I do too a lot, but I
You
have
do?
I'm
Get
also
out of
voting
here.
I'm also voting for 3 Democrats at least in November
Because you
because
vote for who is
my
for who
yeah,
you
vote for
think
the
is
person. Like,
right.
forget the party. Like,
Mm-hmm.
focus on who's like my congressman is legit. He's called for a ceasefire, and I got gerrymandered into his district. I was thinking about running
Good.
against Lucy McBath. She's a scumbag, but
Who
she's
is
my
it?
congressman now. I think Lucy McBath.
Okay.
So she's my congressman technically, and so she was one of the people. Actually, this is what made me want to run against her. Was she was remember when climate defiance interrupted the congressional baseball game, and there was some of the congresswomen dancing in front of their protest to block them
Yeah.
from the cameras, and she was one of them. And I was just like, okay, maybe I should fucking run against you. And then got
Maybe you should.
and then state Republicans gerrymandered me out of her district. So now I'm in Hank Johnson's district, and he's called for a ceasefire. He's actually a Bernie delegate in 2016 as a pleo, a public elected official. So he, he's a good progressive. So I'm not going to run against him. Like it would just be nonsense to waste progressive, ammunition against ourselves. So I'm not going to run against him, even though, I don't know. He's older. Maybe I'd be, I wish he's not perfect. I would do things differently if I were obviously, but he's in Congress and I'm not. But and then also on the state level, like my state senator is, she's my state house. They've called for a ceasefire, and my state house rep is Palestinian, and she's badass. Came out for Cop City stuff, and knew her since the Bernie
That's
days,
good.
and she's just brilliant. And so like it's not
Those
just
are the
about
people
party.
that
Like
inspire me.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they inspire me
Absolutely.
too. I'm like, look, like if it wasn't for you, I would be so much more radical. Even I don't know if that's a good
You
thing or a
know, I
bad thing,
I
but
was in
it's
Philly. I
it
was
is
in.
what it is.
You were a delegate.
You were you
I
were
was
in
in.
Philly.
Yeah, I was with Real
What'd
Progressives
you do?
interviewing people. I was with, and Jordan was
Where were
interviewing
you?
all the same people. I was
Where
outside.
were you?
Oh,
Outside?
sweating to death,
Oh my God, yeah, for real. It was.
traipsing
Oh
around.
my God, it was so hot. I remember some of that shit.
98 degrees.
That was
Remember
a
all the water they had
yeah. It
all
was like
over the
record
town?
hot, and then they had us standing out like it was a fucking shit show.
Yeah, but I got
Like
lucky.
they
I
had
got
us.
to ride around on the Black Men for Bernie bus, and it was air conditioned
Nice.
with Bruce, who actually turned into Black Men for Trump. I'll never know why. I figured it was money. I don't know, but
I mean, that's the thing is that populism goes both ways. If when
yeah,
liberals fail, and that momentum, that populist momentum, really goes towards the right, and it's obvious, but they don't seem to fucking learn. They don't
everybody
give a
was
shit, honestly.
so disappointed. Everybody was so angry,
That
so
was when,
angry.
you know, that was when I literally felt like I watched the world end when I was, yeah, I was,
No,
being in the convention and watching the vote go down. I was literally like, and everybody else walked out, and like, the actually our candidate for Senate, said, any Bernie delegates who are going to walk out, stay, I'll talk with you or whatever, just try to stay. And then so he tried to get us to stay. I basically just sat and ranted to him about, how fracking and natural gas were going to fry humanity, and that was going to be it. everything was over.
Oh,
And
it was
so,
all
yeah, and
over.
then I left. And so, like, I don't know, there was a whole wild situation. And also, yeah, I mean, it was wild being a delegate there, because also a delegate for Hillary was Kasim Reed, who was the mayor of Atlanta, who arrested us when I was with Occupy. And so I went and I took a picture in the
Ah,
seat first. He had an assigned seat and shit. But then I saw him there one day, and he's just sitting there alone. So I went and sat next to him, started talking to him about how like I was like, you took my First Amendment right and shit. And he just started like bumbling, and like these people, they act all tough when they have the police on their side and they're on their everything's set up for them and everything. But
yeah,
then when they're all alone and you go up to them and be like, dude, why did you destroy my constitutional right for Wall Street and doom the
yeah,
future
for a
process?
while.
And he just like, blah, 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 like, well, I'm like, okay, buddy, peace out. I just wanted to see you bumble like a fool. Like these,
I have a lot of respect that you did that. That you were
yeah, I mean,
you
these
yeah.
politicians, the system is way more fragile than people admit. People act like we can't challenge it and we can't change anything, and I think that's bullshit. That's what bothers me about doomers, about anyone,
I
is this
don't
the
feel
idea,
that way. That's why I'm
this
with the
cynical idea.
progressives.
I don't like people can change. Like why I'm a doomer is because I don't think people will, but I'll still be there. I'm be waiting there, calling for them every fucking day.
There
Like
you go.
where are you? What are you doing?
You
But
just nailed
it's
it. You just nailed it. You know, we it's not hopium. We're just saying, okay, we can try. We can try. Why not? And then but the bigger picture, I always say I know what the bigger picture is. It's not going to change. We're not going to change, but we can try, and that's why I'm on the show on Wednesdays with progressives, Jake and Matt, and he's an artist. He's a comic. He draws comics. Artist, very prolific. And Andrea, she has a channel. We all talk on Wednesday nights about progressive politics sometimes, or just bullshit. But that's why, because I can't give it up. I cannot give it up. And I do a lot locally too. I'm with environmental organization around here, but I hurt a lot. I have a bad back. But anyway, wait, we've got a couple of, okay, Bella, our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, and I think I'm liable to be put away as an insane for expressing that. No, you're
hey,
not.
the more of us who express it, the less chance they have of putting us all away. I mean, that's key. Even just what else we got
Tom
here?
says working people are fighting over scraps, and a lot of people think voting for conservative Democrats is solving something. We all
Yeah,
know it isn't.
exactly. Yeah.
Conservatives. No, it's not. It's not. The only Democrat, though, that I do like, who is, I do like Sheldon Whitehouse because he's
Mhm.
exposed dark money with Jane Mayer, and he talks about all the climate change things that are happening and going to happen, and he's about the best we got. Besides,
Yeah,
Sheldon.
I mean for climate probably, and I mean I like Markey and Merkley and I mean the squad. They're all cool, and
Hmm.
Bernie, but everyone's got their issues. But I'm a lot more forgiving than most people. Just
Doing
even
that
though.
censorship, though, the censure of Rashida Tlaib,
Mhm.
that was a stupid ass thing to do. I thought. I thought it
Yeah,
was really low class, but
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
All right, so guys, oh boy, everybody's just hopping away, man. We could stay on all night. We've been an hour and a half already. An hour and
I
47
mean,
minutes. Wow, this went fast. Scott would be a great, yeah, I'm going to talk about this. Scott would be a great left past 10 guest. You and Andrea would be a hoot. You gotta, I'm going to talk to everybody and have you on with us on Wednesday night if you would do it.
okay, cool. Yeah,
No, honey,
yeah,
you'd fit
definitely.
right in. Are you kidding? This is great. I mean, we talk about all this stuff all the time, and it's cool. So, all right. Well, let's see what else you guys are
I said
saying. And
Native Americans lived here over 10,000 years without voting.
yeah, right.
Is that
That's right,
100%
boy.
true?
I don't know. We
I'm
don't
curious. Like,
in their
but
in.
on some level, everyone votes. Everything. This is a thing people don't want to admit. But on some level, until the robot armies are strong enough to take us down, which is very shortly. This is why we're on a time frame. This is another reason we're on a short time frame here. It's not just climate, the technological police state we got to worry about. But until robot armies can take us down, I think Now, I would always argue that every society really is a democracy. The masses really have the power. They just maybe don't know it. But until you have a real robot army to really take them on physically, they have the power.
Everybody wants you on Left Past 10. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you've been a popular guest. It's been an exciting conversation, and we've talked about a lot of awesome things. And, we might have duked it out a little bit about the, about the female thing.
No, these are conversations that
this
need to
is
happen. This is,
great.
yeah, that was,
I agree. Oh, wait. Native Americans did vote their own way. Well, probably within the family, but the women were pretty strong in those cultures, so maybe they had more say. How many times have you done civil disobedience? Voting is no big deal if you can get out of work.
I mean, I've kind of done I've done civil disobedience a lot more than being arrested for it. I was only arrested for it once, but I've been civilly disobedient a lot of times.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, got my gas mask is, it's been had
I
tasted
like
tear
the gas
gas.
mask. I
I've
like
been,
it. When we
and it
went
works.
to,
They work against tear gas. So just in case you were wondering, they
I
really
have
actually
one.
work.
I own
It's
one.
not why I bought it.
When we
Yeah, I
went
mean,
to
so just
DC, when we
yeah,
went to
just
Philly,
have it on deck.
me and the gal I went with, we bought
They didn't
gas
really gas
masks.
us there, though. They didn't gas us there.
No,
I think that
we
was before I
didn't.
even had the mask. But
We didn't know what was going to happen.
it's true. I
So
would. Well,
we
I was
were
inside, so
prepared.
I wasn't expecting to be gassed. But
Kia,
I
beautiful
wasn't.
girl.
I literally left out. I left because I went to the
I
occupation
love
outside because at some
America.
point I just got sick of the shit, and I was like, "Look, there's nothing good coming from inside of this convention." And I went outside of the park where we had our occupation. And all my activist friends were outside camping in tents, and I forget what park was that in Philly. We had basically occupied a park while we were there.
Oh, there were
When I
several.
went out to that, yeah, we'd start
The
the march from
biggest
there and leave from
part,
there.
yeah,
That was a good time. We met
I
a lot of
did all
solid
that.
people from all over the country. That
Me
was some of the
too.
best. That was some of the best part of the Bernie movement was just really
Was
connecting people from all over the country
it
that
really
we would
was?
have never run into each other otherwise. And
I
it's
know. And I interviewed so many people, and I don't even know where all the footage is. Real Progressives owns it or has it, I guess.
mm,
But that was okay. You know, it was really, I felt like after it happened, after Bernie lost, and I knew 2020 wasn't going to be the same, it was a big letdown. And we tried, I guess the Justice Democrats, there were things that were tried, but it didn't get momentum. So why? And how can we change that? And that's what we talk about, and wrestle with on Wednesday nights. Even though the big picture is we're fucked, we can't see it happening. Try. You guys have
yeah.
longer life ahead of you than I do, and I did it all for, did a lot of it in my life. I'm
I mean,
tired.
I'm pretty sure that
I'm
I'm pretty
tired.
sure hey, you're not allowed to be tired. But
No, I can't be here. I have
millennials,
cats.
everyone's tired. It's
Homestead.
2024.
Yeah. You're right. You got that right. Oh shit. That's funny. All right. Let's see. I think we're doing pretty good. Oh wait, well, Nina, she had a comment. In my country, she's Canadian, we don't make our political affiliation known to the public. Weird. At Tommy is how I vote. I always protect my identity online. I don't blame you because I don't want to dox myself. That's why I was anonymous and being obnoxious in our right wing little community board with my probing comment. And people, I really did trigger people, but I got enough. I'm going to make a wonderful video out of it. It's
Yeah,
a
I can't help
choice.
it.
I can't help myself. It's a choice between a shit sandwich and a shit sandwich with cheese. The cheese is an improvement, but a lack of cheese wasn't really the
See,
issue.
I'm vegan, man.
Yeah,
If you
but it
force me
could
to
be
eat one, I'll take it
vegan.
without cheese.
It could be vegan. Yeah, but it could be vegan
Like, why are you
cheese.
forcing me to eat your
Vegan cheese.
sandwich? Why are you
There's
forcing me to eat your sandwich?
yeah. Why are you?
You got a
He doesn't want to eat
perfectly
shit.
good,
Shit's
I
not
don't know,
vegan. Shit's not
there's
vegan either.
perfectly good loaf of bread. We got Marianne Williamson right there. I don't know.
All right, let's see here. Public utility. Evidence leads us to believe that the U.S. Constitution, developed by Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, was indeed influenced by Hodeno's, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. So some Native American influence back then. And I don't
Yeah, and I mean,
have
it might make
that
sense. I mean, it makes
education.
sense on like a smaller level, but
But we killed them.
they could have never
Not we,
foreseen the shit.
my
Like, I mean,
family.
we're like 1,000 miles away, and we're having a conversation right now. The founding fathers, the native, they could have never imagined shit like this. Like, this is, it's kind of an obvious consequence of time in some ways, but like, they still could have. I mean, especially then, yeah, and 300 million people, like.
Wow.
And
All
we've
right.
got to, and the U.S. is weird because geographically we're just so big. Unlike in Europe, we can't just all show up to our, country's capital and just start,
Yeah.
I don't know, piling up manure or whatever the fuck we're gonna do. Like, I've done it. We've been there, but it's like it's not like in Europe where it's like, okay, everybody can just as easily just, drive a little while to your state, nation's capital and start a revolution. Like,
Right.
we're a huge. That's a weird. That's
Well,
it's
Europe is
one of the
it would be like states, but they're countries.
exactly. Yeah, it's like it'd be like going to your state capital instead of
Mhm.
your.
Yep.
And so yeah, if you got 3,000 miles to drive, or half the
Yeah.
country, it's makes a
Early
big difference in how
love.
much you can show up in in
Exactly.
protest and stuff.
Exactly. No, 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 no. I wasn't suggesting otherwise, hun. No, no, no. Of course they do. You know that I didn't. I'm just talking off the top of my head. That was history. We were talking way back. Way, way, way back. Way back.
I
All
mean,
right. Let's see. How about this? Emerald View. Could they have imagined kids walking around with AK-47s willing to take life to protect some stranger's non-life sustaining property? No, because who thought there was going to be anything more than black powder back then? Yeah. Hi, Zilpa. All right. Well, I think we're gonna, you know, um, we're gonna wrap it up. It's a 2-hour show, and it went fast.
hey,
Holy
yeah.
shit, it was exciting. I really loved having you here. Everybody responded well. You're coming back. We're going to set something up. I hope you will.
All right, yeah, great. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is great. Always good, and
Yeah.
I guess I'll be back then.
So I always tell everybody that's my guest. Well, what would you say to bring up the rear? You know the old saying, bringing up the rear. Like, what would you like to say as your parting wisdom to everybody?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure all of a sudden. My parting wisdom.
Oh, no. Well, you've got a lot of wisdom. So just give us some parting wisdom.
I mean, maybe just reiterate what I said earlier. Just don't be 100% certain about how it turns out. Don't let 100% certainty, ever in your politics and your activism, your environmental climate activism aspect. Don't ever let certainty take control, because no one ever knows 100% how it's going to go down. So always leave room for that 0.01% chance, and you think of what you would do with that 0.01% chance, and
All right.
yeah, fight like hell, because
Great.
it's everything on the table. 0.01%, but that's
Yep.
that's it. Plan A
All
or Plan
right.
B. We'll talk
Well,
about Plan B next time.
yeah, I think there's definitely going to be next times. All right, guys, listen. I don't know how many of you heard the song from the beginning. Usually I don't do this, but I'm going to play
Well,
Scott's song. Should I play it to go
so
out?
I feel like we're getting called out. So
What are we getting called out by? Who?
so sad that the native issue got dismissed. Oh no, I lost it very quickly, and our
Oh,
ways are of
was
no
that
use.
Gene?
So I mean,
Oh,
can can you
I'm looking. Was that Gene?
expound?
Well,
No, it was
if we had not
Jenna
had
Gray.
if we had
I'm
not
just
had a, if the Europeans didn't be horribly colonialist and, just like we do, it has happened throughout history, maybe that wouldn't have happened, but it happened. most early settlers owe their survival to the natives before they turned. Absolutely. Listen, that's another show. And nobody is minimizing
We can keep it going.
anything Native
You don't want to keep it
American.
going? I feel like we're getting a lot of comments here. If you want to keep it going, I can just go to the bathroom. We can do another hour.
Oh my God, I can't.
Or no, we
I
can
can't
just,
sit
you
another
can't
hour.
stand. You can. Oh my God! All right,
I'm
that's
very
fine.
disabled. Oh, geez. Is she doing this again? Nadia! God damn, she's paying my bills. Sorry about the schedule conflict. I'm watching this very moment, though. It'll be the end of me, if not the end of the world, but party on! God, I love Nadia. See, I understand, though. Nadia's afraid. It's afraid, but she has some fear, about leaving the country. All right, everybody. Like I said, if you have not seen the song that I did the graphics, and I'm going to go out with Scott's song, and we will bring Scott back because he's a fabulous guest. And it was, thank you so much. We tried to make it work for how long, and we finally got it.
Yeah. This is great. Thanks a lot.
Got it. All right, I am going to
Thanks,
play
everyone.
it.
Peace out, everyone. Party on.
I tell you
Peace
guys,
out,
the We Are So
everybody.
Fuck sign
Fight
is
for your right to party.
the We Are So Fuck sign is living up to its name, but the We Are So Fuck sign says we shall endure.
Everybody gather round and stop our burning witches. There's gonna be a murder, you're gonna be a witness. Preternatural salvation, increasing all the nations. Who will be the first to win the hamster wheel race? Look at what you want, not what you can't have. Before reaching for the stars, you better crawl onto the